I'm Stephen Carver. I'm a lecturer in project and programme management here at Cranfield, but another part of my job is to actually talk about crisis management. In other words, what do you do when the plan doesn't work? Crisis management. Now, when would we ever be faced with crisis? Well, as a project or programme manager, often, sadly, things go badly wrong. Perhaps the oil platform sinks into the Norwegian fjord, never to be seen again, as happened 15 years ago. Or perhaps the oil platform tragically blows up, people are killed. How do you deal with the media? How do you deal with the crisis? So what we do on the programme is we say to people, all you have to do is come into the TV studio and we're going to interview you. Now, when I say we, it'll be myself plus 2 or 3 real journalists, and what you have to do is survive for 11 minutes without either destroying your career or your organisation. It sounds simple, and in fact it's incredibly difficult. We give the students 1 hour to prepare, which is actually quite generous because in most crises you haven't got the 1 hour, but in that hour they'll decide their roles and responsibilities because it's a team effort, and they go into the TV studio, and often they go in thinking this is going to be so easy, and they are then horrified by how quickly these journalists make them say something that really they shouldn't have said, and it becomes the sound bite. Or the body language, which they shouldn't have used. And again, it's the 10 or 15 seconds that will go on the television. Or even the photograph, the 125th of a second, when you put your head in your hands and go, no, no, no. And you don't want that in the newspapers, you don't want it on the TV, but you did it at the press conference, so there it is in the public domain. So what do we teach them? Well, we spend, many hours actually trying to get them to think about major crises and going beyond the, well, they didn't do very well, and say, well, if you'd been the CEO, how would you have reacted? What would you have said? And they begin to realise that whilst we can all laugh when people make gaffes on television, actually it's a damn difficult thing to do properly. We teach them a basic rule, which is the 3R rule, amongst other things. The 3R rule, the first thing you have got to show is regret. That's the first R. And this is to show that you're a human being. So many important people, straight away they go into the facts and figures. You've got to empathise with what's happened. So if your oil platform is spilling oil into American waters, you've got to immediately show empathy for the people affected. And that's the people who perhaps died on the platform, their families, the fishermen in terms of the oil pollution, and in fact almost an apology to the nation.
I'd like to start this afternoon's press conference with a short statement. Firstly, to say that I'm truly sorry for any injury or harm that may have come to any persons or protesters outside the KSOL facility. Our primary concern at this moment in time is the welfare, the safety and the health of our workforce, the local population and their families around this area.
The next thing you have to do, the second R, is the reason. Why has this happened? And hey, if you've made a mistake, tell people that you've made a mistake. Don't hide it, because in the end, it always comes out. And if people know that you lied about it, it just creates a second crisis, and that's the one that could really kill you. Once you've explained what's happened, and if you don't know what's happened, you should say, we don't know what's happened. But now at least people are listening to you. They've realised that you're a human being, that there's a problem. It may be of your own making, but they're listening to you.
So this has been going on over a week, is it?
We had a security breach, and our own security staffs were involved in apprehending some of these personnel with the support of General...
How many were killed?
There were none killed to the best of...
So where are these 4 bodies come from?
I am aware that there was some shooting. I am aware that
You're aware of some shooting on site? Shooting on site? Inside your facility? Do they have guns?
We are currently under a heightened alert state as a result of...
Do security staff carry guns?
Yes.
So they could be...
You then move on to the third R. The third R, possibly the one where you can get what we call forward traction, which is the remedy. So it's regret, reason and remedy. What are you now going to do about it? And if you need help from a government or another agency, you should say that we're working closely with these people and this is what we're going to do about it. Now, sometimes, even as you're speaking, the situation is changing. And so you've got to have to learn to deal with this complex environment where, sadly, if you get it wrong, it doesn't matter how clever you are, it doesn't matter how good you've been, you can bring your entire company, your entire project down to its knees. We've seen it in examples over the years. People like Exxon, a brilliant company, they had an oil spill, Valdez, people still talk about it. Shell with Brent Spar, again they got it wrong. And more recently, another oil example, BP in the Gulf of Mexico. But it's not just oil, it's not just projects. Anything that can go wrong in an organisation can. If you make baby food, one day you'll have poisonous baby food, sadly. If you fly aeroplanes, one day one of them will fall out of the sky. So it doesn't matter what you do, one day you will face crisis. And what we aim to do is to make sure that they experience that crisis on the course and learn from it, as opposed to experiencing it in the real world where it could cost them their job, their profession, their career.
What are your thoughts on today's media training session?
Fascinating, I thought, actually, and thoroughly enjoyable. So, the problem is actually remembering all the lessons, which we've attributed to 3 R's, because it's easy to remember it when you're comfortable sat down here gigging at the errors of others, as opposed to when you have the camera thrust into your face.
So, do you think today's influenced the way in which you communicate with the media in a real life situation?
Definitely.
Yeah, there needs to be a 4th R, which is run.